So reports are out today that the Lions are in fact shopping three-time Pro Bowl corner Darius Slay, and you know that the Eagles are going to be linked to him. You know this is going to happen. But the real question is this: do they pull the trigger?
Still the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
Scary Cooper, asshole.
Oh, Diva! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans. Dallas still stinks. Everybody doing? Can't think back here, and I hope everybody's having a great Monday. Hope you guys are all doing well. You know, this time of year, it's like, I hate it. I hate it because I feel like I'm waiting for everything. I'm waiting for free agency start. I'm waiting for the draft. I'm waiting for the NBA playoffs. I'm waiting for Better Call Saul to start. My wife's waiting for me to shave. I'm waiting to start a diet. I'm always waiting for something this time of year, and it drives me crazy. Now, at least we're at the point, and we're finally getting to the point where we're starting to hear rumors of what teams may be wanting to do this offseason. Not when it comes to the Eagles. We have been really, really quiet. Quieter than I've seen in years. And I wonder what that means. But, you know, there are some rumors going around with other teams and other players that may affect the Eagles. And we're going to talk about a big one today. But first, before we do that, I got to talk to my man, LB. I got to know who he's putting on the draft board. Hey, yo, LB, who you putting on the draft board today?
Philly. Listen, I think that we have found Malcolm Jenkins' replacement. Safety from Maryland, Antoine Brooks Jr. He can tackle. The addition to this guy, first and foremost, the addition to this guy will shore up the run defense wherever he gets drafted, wherever he goes. He plays close to the line of scrimmage, similar like Malcolm Jenkins. He's physical like Malcolm Jenkins. He has more speed than Malcolm Jenkins. This guy got the special type of dog in him that you want out of a safety. Now, the only thing that makes Malcolm Jenkins more superior than a lot of guys is that Malcolm Jenkins plays all the snaps in the world, but Antoine Brooks Jr. is a carbon copy of Malcolm Jenkins. I'm telling you, man, he got that dog in him. Also was a former quarterback. So he knows when he's looking at a defense from a safety's perspective, he's also looking at it from a quarterback's perspective. Oh, I know he ain't going to throw here. Oh, he think I'm going this way, so he might throw here. Check him out. I encourage you all. Trust me, you will not be disappointed.
Thank you, my man LB. You know, this draft board's getting better and better by the day. And look, if you haven't, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but if you haven't, I want you to click on the link in the description, go to LB's channel, sub him up, great Eagles video maker. Let's get him to 10,000. And oh, by the way, every once in a while, you're going to see this beautiful face on his channel because I'm going to be making my picks for our draft board, and you don't want to miss that. So be sure to sub him up. I'm having a great time with this whole draft board. When we get to 20, we're going to get together. We're going to debate and discuss. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. Now, one thing in this world that we know for certain, the one thing we know for certain, everybody in the world knows, everybody in the galaxy, everybody NASA has ever not sent to the moon, or any pros they've never not sent to Mars, which, you know, is a whole nother issue. But everybody knows that the Eagles need a cornerback. We all know they need a cornerback. But we really never talk about why they need a corner. Why do the Eagles need corners? I'm going to tell you. Because they've done a horrible job of drafting them. They've done a horrible job of drafting corners under Howie Roseman. Just go back and look at his drafts from like 2012. It's been horrible. And oh, by the way, same thing with wide receivers. Same thing with wide receivers. When it comes to receivers, when it comes to corners, he has done a bad job. They've done a bad job. They can't draft them. That's a fact. It's a fact. It's fact, and it's backed up by science. You know what I mean? So, my thing is this. How many years in a row are you going to draft bad corners, bad wide receivers? Okay, this is my argument why you trade up in the first round for a top 3 wide receiver, because I can't trust that the 5th receiver off the board, that the 6th receiver off the board is going to be the right choice. I don't know that. So let's go get the surest thing we can find. Let's get the surest thing we can find and not screw it up. That's how I feel. Okay? And what happens when you don't draft a certain position, or you don't have good drafts, like corner or at wide receiver? What happens is then you have to go out in the free agency or in the trade market, and you have to get guys who are going to cost you a lot more money and tend to be older. And that's what's happening this year, especially at the cornerback position. Look, a lot of people think we need 2 starting corners, okay? And I don't disagree. So it's frustrating. There's a lot of names out there. Over the weekend on Saturday, ESPN had a trade idea, right? And a lot of people were talking about this, making a big deal about it. I didn't do anything on it because I had just done a Darius Slay video a couple days before. And it was basically saying the Eagles should give up a 3rd and Sidney Jones for Darius Slay, okay? And people were talking about whether they like it or not. But, you know, what's changed today, and what happened today, is that Adam Schefter is reporting that the Detroit Lions are in fact shopping Darius Slay. I don't know how the exact tweet went. I'll put it right here. But it was basically saying the Lions are shopping the 3-time Pro Bowler, and basically whoever wants him is going to have to give him a new deal. Oh, and by the way, he wants to be paid as the highest corner in the National Football League. And the second thing is you're going to have to compensate the Detroit Lions really well. Now, Darius Slay has 1 year left on his deal. He wants a new contract. Any team that would trade for him, not giving him a new contract, he would be like $10 million against their cap. But he wants a new deal. Okay, and he's talking north of $15 million a year. Okay, so of course the Eagles at the trade deadline, they were very involved, and they had reached out to about Darius Slay. I think the Lions were asking for a 2nd, and it was a little too pricey, right? And actually at the time, I was okay with that because you were getting him for the rest of that year, and then you would have gotten him for this year. So I was a little more open to that. You know, as far as where I stand with Darius Slay and going out and trading for him right now, I'm probably going to fall into the minority in this, right? There's probably going to be a lot of people that don't like what I'm going to say, but I probably would not go after him. I probably would not go after him, and here's why. He is 29 years old. He is 29 years old, and we talked so much. I mean, Howard Roseman came out and they talked about getting younger, getting faster, and all these things. And here we go again, getting basically a 30-year-old player and then making him the highest paid corner in the league. Yes, we have $43 million under the cap this year, no question. But what about the year after? And the year after that? We got cap problems. Now we're going to go and make him the highest paid corner. I don't know. And then what are the Lions asking for? A 2nd-round pick? I'm not giving them a 2nd-round pick. A 3rd-round pick? I'm not giving them a 3rd-round pick. And when I say this, I think Darius Slay is one of the best corners in the National Football League. I think the world of him. I think he's great. But what am I getting for it, really, long term? When I look at it, I'm not, because look, if you're just thinking about next year, okay, I get it. But the reality of the situation is you're going to have to pay this guy to be one of the highest paid corners in 2 years, in 3 years. Is he going to be that top elite talent at corner? When these guys hit 30, especially a position like that where there's so much moving and shifting, the guys can fall off quick. They can fall off quick. Not every player. There's exceptions. But they're far and few between. And to me, to go out and spend over $15 million a year to get this guy for what, 4 or 5 years? I don't think it's worth it. I would rather go after James Bradbury. Okay, so I would rather have 4 years of a very good corner, Pro Bowl type corner, than 2 years of an elite corner. Okay, I really think that. I really think the Eagles need to not look at their team as next year is our window. We got 1-2 years left to win it. I think that's got to change. You have a 27-year-old franchise quarterback. Okay, you need to think about the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Let's build this thing right. Let's get some young talent, and let's win 3, 4 more Super Bowls. Let's be in it for the next 5 years, not just 1 or 2 years. And I think the Eagles need to start shifting that kind of thinking and start thinking a little bit more long term. Darius Slay's a great player. He's a great player. But he's also 29 years old. I don't want to pay a 29-year-old to be the best corner in the league for the next 4 or 5 years. Okay? Now, look, if Darius Slay was to say, I'll take a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, or there's a way you could get out of it after 2 years, I would be open to something like that. But based on the assumption that I have to pay him as the highest paid corner in the National Football League, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. And I'm not paying the Lions a 2nd or 3rd round pick. I'll give a 4th round pick. If you want to play a 4th round pick and play your deal out, I'm in. I'm in. Okay? Now, I think the Eagles will go after him. I really do. I don't know if they'll pay for it, but the Eagles talk about getting younger and faster all the time, but they don't do it. Yeah, and it's a shame because you saw when they interjected young guys in their lineup, especially on offense, they started winning. It was a big infusion they needed, and I do like Darius Slay, and I know that this is probably the minority view on this whole thing, but I just think we gotta stand our ground and say we got to get younger across the board. We don't need 29-year-old, 30-year-old players. I don't want to sign anybody if they're over 28 in free agency. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Unless it's a real short-term deal. I would bring Malcolm Jenkins back because I think he's earned it. But most of my other moves would be to get younger. Okay, I would keep Jenkins. I would keep Brandon Graham. I'd probably let Jason Peters go. I think Darius Slay is a great player. But I think you're only getting him for a year or two at what you expect from him. And this is due because the Eagles have done a bad job drafting. Because they can't draft corners and wide receivers, we have to go out and get older guys. Think about the wide receiver position. You have Deshaun Jackson, 33 years old. Alshon Jeffries is 30. How many teams in this league have 2 starting outside wide receivers 30 years or older? You know, and then people talk about bringing A.J. Green, and he's 32. I mean, look, what I want from the Eagles is I want them to bring players who make a name in green with the Eagles, who become something by being an Eagle. I don't want the Eagles to bring in guys who made their name somewhere else, and then they come in for a year or two, and then we lose them. I really think if you sign Darius Slay to a long-term contract, making him the highest paid corner, in about a year or two, people are going to be talking about how to get out of his contract. We're doing it with Alshon Jeffrey already. So I think unless you're going to get him like for a 1-year deal, or you get like a 2 years and there's some sort of out, something like that, and he's not the highest paid corner in the league, I'm not doing it. Like I said, give me James Bradbury. I would much rather go after him. At least he's younger. And if you're saying, dude, you were willing to give 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey, why would you not want to give anything for Darius Slay? Darius Slay is really good. He is good. But here's the thing. Jalen Ramsey was 4 to 5 years younger than Darius Slay. He's 4 to 5 years younger than him. So what I'm getting in a Jalen Ramsey is I'm getting a guy for the next 6 to 8 years. What I'm getting in a Darius Slay is maybe a guy for 2. At best, 2 or 3. And I bet you that 3rd year, I bet you there's going to be some sort of fall off. I just don't want to risk it. I want to get younger. I want to get guys. I want to draft the right guys. I want to draft the right guys. I would go in and I'd bring in a Bradbury. I would draft probably a 2nd round corner, and I would make sure that I trade up in my 1st round, get myself some young wide receivers also. These are the 2 positions the Eagles have struggled in, and I have no faith that they can do it in the draft, which is an argument for getting Slay. But to me, it's about the money. It's about the money and the length of years of a contract. Now, the Eagles could trade a 3rd round pick for him, sign him to a 2-year deal, and it would change my opinion. Yes, it would change my opinion. But I don't want to be tied down to any more older guys. That's kind of how I feel about it. What do you guys think? Would you do it for Darius Slay? I think the Eagles need to take a stand and start getting younger and do a better job drafting. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.